Today's story is one of uncertainty, unexpected connection, and the kind of ending only life, not planning, can write. Welcome to Short Stories with Lola, where life's unexpected twists take center stage. I went on a solo vacation for peace and came back with something that changed my life forever. I was 32, single and mentally burned out. Life in London had me tired and in need of a break. So I did what many women in their 30s do when they need to recharge. I booked a solo vacation. Destination, Greece. 1 week and a half of peace, sun, and solo reflection. I didn't go looking for romance. I honestly just wanted to unwind, read, explore, and maybe take cute pictures for the gram. But of course, life had its own plans. He and I met at a beach in Naxos on my third day in the country. I was sipping wine and journaling. He was reading some Greek poetry and sketching. I know, I rolled my eyes too, but he looked like a walking cliche and somehow it worked. We bumped into each other the next day at a tiny market. It felt natural to talk, and from talking came flirting. From flirting came drinks later on, and from drinks started a fling. We always used protection until one drunk night near the end of my trip when we didn't. I went back to London. Life resumed. I didn't think much of it at first until about 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. Now, there was no confusion. I hadn't been with anyone else a year before him and no one after him. It had to be him. I didn't know what to do. The word abortion crossed my mind more than once. Not because I didn't want a child, but because I was scared. Scared of doing it alone. Scared of how it would change my life, and scared that if I went through with an abortion, I might risk my chances of having children in the future. Still, I knew I wanted to at least tell him. So I tried. For weeks, I called. Nothing. I couldn't leave a voicemail, and I didn't have an email. Now, to be fair, I could see that he wasn't active on Instagram. He hadn't been for over a year, and he did tell me that. However, I still sent several DMs. I hit the 6-month mark, still pregnant, still unsure, and still without any contact. So I did something some people might call foolish. I flew back to Greece. I retraced our steps, visited all the places we went together. Some people remembered me, but no one had seen him in a while, and no one admitted to knowing where he lived. It was like searching for a ghost. On my last day, I went to the park where we'd had a picnic once. He told me it was his favorite place to think and breathe. I walked around, mostly for closure. Then I heard it. My name. I paused, then turned around, and there he was. We stood there for a moment, just staring. His eyes moved from my face to my belly. Then he asked, "Is that mine?" I started crying and said yes. He moved closer and hugged me. "Have you been looking for me?" he asked, and I nodded. "I have." He told me he'd been traveling for work and had his work number, which family and friends could reach him on for emergency, but the number I had was turned off. He'd only returned the night before and felt drawn to that park. Now, maybe this was coincidence. Maybe it was divine alignment. But there we were. He didn't doubt me. He didn't question or run. He listened. We talked. I told him I decided to keep the baby, and he wasn't upset. He was calm. Not, maybe too calm, but present. From then on, he began visiting me in London. He never tried to restart anything romantic. He was just there, consistent, gentle, and supportive. He met my family and friends, and I met his. And when I was during my due date, he flew into London early and stayed at my place, just in the guest room. He was there when my water broke. He drove me to the hospital. He called my family and held my hand through labor. When our son was born, I asked him to do a DNA test. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I never wanted him to have any doubts. He agreed, 100% his. What I didn't expect was how much I'd start falling for him again. Not longing, but from watching the way he cared for our son, how present he was, how patient. So I didn't force anything. When our son was 2 months old, he found a home he loved. After packing up one night, he had just put the baby to sleep, and I was watching him from across the room. He looked at me, walked over, and kissed me. Then he said, "I've been wanting to do that since the day I saw you again at the park, but I didn't know if it was the right time then or now. And if it isn't, I'm sorry." Now, just like in the movies, I pulled him closer, kissed him, and said, "It's the perfect time." Well, not like that, but it's the perfect time. We got married shortly after our son turned 1. We now live together in the house he bought. We're building a family, a beautiful, unexpected, deeply loved family. But I want to be clear. This is not a fairy tale. I would not encourage anyone to try and replicate this. Unprotected sex, especially with someone you barely know, is not a decision to take lightly. I don't say that to judge, but to be real. I knew better than to get drunk, that I couldn't remember to use protection. Now that part of my story ended well, but the fear, the uncertainty, the loneliness of those early months, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. If you're not ready to carry the weight of that kind of consequence, please be careful. I'm thankful to God for how things turned out, but I know it could have been a very different story. And to anyone going through something unexpected, know that beauty can still come from chaos. Sometimes, not all the time. The best parts of our lives start from the messiest moments. This is Short Stories with Lola. I hope today's story reminds you that life is unpredictable. Love can show up in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, what feels like the end is really just the beginning. Thank you for watching, listening, and sharing. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify. And until next week, stay hopeful and open to the unexpected.